Hi, this is Mike Prothero. I'm covering a quick video on named access list. There's two categories of access list, the standard access list and an extended access list. That's the main categories. Another subcategory is called a named access list. It acts very similar to the standard and extended, except it has two benefits. One, it has a name, so you can identify the access list easier than just using a number. And the other benefit is you can edit the access list much easier by removing an individual line or adding lines, and compare to the standard or extended where you have to delete the entire list and put it back in again. In this video, I'm going to repeat what I did in the extended access list video. I'm going to block access, host A's telnet access to router B. So I'm going to create an extended access list, but I'm going to name it. And I'm going to place that extended access list closest to the source, because that's the rule for extended access list. And it's going to block the telnet operations or being able to telnet into the router B. Just to show you, I am going to ping across to make sure this all works. And during this setup, if you didn't watch the previous video, all the networks are connected. I used a egrep protocol to make sure they all communicated. You can use anything you want as long as you test the communications. And then I also went into router B and router 0, and I set up VTY lines 0 through 15 with a VTY password of telnet and an enable password of telnet. That's also in a video of how to set up a telnet on your router in a previous video. Okay, so I go into host A, and I'm going to show you that the telnet works. Okay, there's my telnet. It's asking for the password, and I'm in. So I can actually telnet to that. So now I'm going to go add the access list, the named access list. So we got to go into config T mode, enable, config. We have to config mode. And now instead of doing access list, you do IP access list. And then you have to see IP access list, and then we're going to give it a name. We'll call it telnet. And I'm missing something. What am I missing? Let's do this. IP access list, question mark. Oh, I forgot to tell it. It's a extended access list that I want to call telnet. There we go. So now I created the access list. Instead of being called 110 or 120 or whatever you might have numbered it, I called it telnet. And notice the prompt change. We have a different prompt. So at this prompt, I am going to go in there and give it my deny TCP from any source to the host I'm blocking, which was 172.20.1.6, which is the IP address of the router B serial port. And then I'm going to say equal to port 23, which is the telnet port. There we go. And I have that on there. Also, this still has an implicit deny. So remember, it adds a line on there. You can't see it of deny all. So I'll show you how we can do that, or how it does that, excuse me. So we'll make sure this doesn't work because it's not supposed to. We blocked it. I'm telnetting into the router. Uh-oh, it still works because I forgot something. I forgot, just like in the standard and extended access list, you have to apply the list just like you do. So I created the list. Now I got to go to my interface, just like in the previous videos, and I have to apply that. So I got to go IP, access group, and telnet because it's got a name now. Oh, and I want to do it for the information going in the port, not coming out. So what I did is, here's the port. Any host trying to go into the router, trying to access this IP address via port 23, I want it dropped. Okay, so we'll test it. one more time. So there it goes. It's trying. And it failed. And I will try to telnet into this 110 address. And it's going to fail again because remember of that implicitly denied. Matter of fact, it's so strong of an implicitly denied, I cannot even ping between here and here because it's denying all. So even though, and we'll take a look at that, I'm going to go into my terminal, take a look at our access list that we created. We'll exit. We're going to go show access list. It helps if you spell it right. There you go. So there's our access list. We denied specifically certain things, but implicitly it denied all. So in order to fix that, we have to add one more line to our access list. So we go into the config mode again, config T, and then we got to go IP access list, IP access list, and it's an extended, and we called it telnet. It takes us to that prompt, and now we're going to do permit. We're adding a line here, permit, and we want to do IP any. So we're going to permit any traffic. So then we'll get out of this and we'll take a look at our access list, and now we have two lines. It applies the first line first. If there's any matches to this, it will deny them and jump out of the list. It will not go to the next comparison or next line. If this does not match the packet, it will go to this one, and it'll say permit all, which will allow any packet through. There is still an applied deny all underneath the last line, but it will never get to it because this is going to allow all the packets through. Okay, so we'll try that and see if it works. So we'll go over to here and do our command prompt again, and we'll try our normal router router B, and it should deny because that was the first rule in our access list. And now we'll go to the other router, which allows us to get in. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to show you is how you can edit the access list where you couldn't do this in the other one. We're going to go back into terminal, and here is our access list. We had two lines. If this was a standard or an extended list, we would have to delete this whole list and re-enter. If there was 20 or 30 entries, that's a lot of work. That's why I said if you're going to use the standard or extended list, copy everything in Notepad so you can paste it all your commands. But in this one, we can just go back into the configuration mode, and we can go back into our telnet, and we can just tell it no permit any, no IP permit any. Let's see, make sure it's no permit IP any. Permit IP any. So I'm just matching the line that's in there. And then I'll exit out, and I will show you that list again. And notice our first rule is still there. It just took out the rule that we told it to take out. Okay, that's that's named access lists. So they work the same as standard, they work the same as extended, but they have the functionality of having a name, and they have the functionality of having a line item edit. You can also add remarks in here, which would allow you to explain why you blocked certain things or why you denied or allowed access. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed the video.